That is the look and the sound of my very first motorcycle. Found this video on YouTube. In fact, that's the exact color of my first motorcycle, a 1978 Yamaha GT80. And man, hearing that engine run still brings back a lot of good memories for me today. I learned to ride that motorcycle running up and down the alley that was a couple of houses down from our house. So I'd ride it down to one end of the alley, turn around, come back at the other end. And that's kind of how I learned to ride a motorcycle. At the age of 14 in Northeast Arkansas, you could get your license. And I had a motorcycle license 2 years before I ever drove a car. Went down to the Blytheville, Arkansas police station to get my license. I went in, took the written test, and then me and a police officer walked out on the porch. And he said, "Is that your motorcycle?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Okay, I want you to ride it down to the end of the alley, do a U-turn, and come back." So I rode it to the end of the alley, did a U-turn, came back, and was instructed not to put my feet down. Didn't put my feet down. Parked the motorcycle. The officer said, "All right, let's go inside." And that was it. I got my license from there. Well, motorcycle training has changed a lot in those days. No longer are the days where you can just run down and do a U-turn in the alley and get your motorcycle license. A lot more training, and probably for the good that we provide a lot more training and expect a lot more of newer riders before we set them loose out on the road. Well, today I want to share with you 3 things that I wish I had realized when I started riding motorcycles, and more in particular, 3 things I wish I had understood when I got back into riding motorcycles. If you're a supporter of MCrider, you may have seen messages on Patreon wanting to get together for dinner. There's an event going on here in DFW called Wing Ding, and it's Gold Wing riders from all over the country that come in for this event. Well, I sent a message out a couple of days ago through Patreon and Facebook to see if there happen to be any MCrider supporters in the area, because that's real close to my house, and see if you guys wanted to get together and have dinner. So last night, myself and 8 other patrons of MCrider rode over to Babe's Chicken Dinner House here in Roanoke, Texas, real near my house. And we sat down for one of the biggest plates of chicken that you can probably order. Babe's is a great place to eat. I love to go there. Probably shouldn't go there as often as I do because I'm trying to lose a couple of pounds. But we sat down, had a great dinner, walked around Oak Street in Roanoke, Texas for a little bit, and just had a good time. I wanted to thank all you guys for showing up last night and coming out. It was my pleasure to get to meet you guys, and I'm looking forward to possibly more events like that in the future. Take care, guys. It was a pleasure meeting you, and have safe travels getting back home. The first thing I wish I had understood when I got back into riding is road strategy is more important than riding skills. Now, don't get me wrong, both of them are important. And if you go over to MCrider.com, the videos are broken down into road strategy and riding or on-bike skills. So we try to break our videos down into those 2 categories to help make more sense for you guys. But what do I mean by road strategy? Well, some of the things that I jotted down here are following distance, riding within your right frame of mind, riding within the limits of your skills and conditions. Real important one here is recognizing road traps and how to avoid them, how high visibility affects your riding. All these things are important, and all of these road strategies will put you in a position on the road once you've got your basic skills down. These road strategies or these techniques on the road are going to keep you out of bad situations on the road. and hopefully where you never need to use your road skills or your riding skills out on the street. One of the great things about road strategy is those techniques can be practiced every time you're in a vehicle. It doesn't matter whether you're on a motorcycle or whether you're in a car. You can use lane position, your following distance, all of the techniques that we teach in the road strategy videos here at MCrider. You can use those techniques in a car, looking through a turn, all those types of things, and practice that even when you're not on a motorcycle. In fact, if you practice driving a car the way you ride a motorcycle, it's going to make you a much better driver as well. Most riders are going to leave the MSF class, if they pass the test, with at least a basic control, basic riding skills of their motorcycle, so they can get from point A to point B. But what they really should focus on is good road strategy until their skills continue to develop. Because having a good following distance, knowing or being able to predict what other cars are going to do on the road are going to give you a much better chance to avoid a bad situation than having to use emergency braking skills or avoidance techniques to begin with. So your road strategy should be emphasized a whole lot more than it is, and I believe that that's ultimately what keeps you safe on a motorcycle once you've got the basic control skills down. The second thing I wish I had realized when I got back into riding is dedicated practice is the only way to prepare for an accident. So what do I mean by that? You guys have probably heard the old saying, just get some seat time, you'll get better. You hear people tell that to new riders. Yeah, just spend some time riding the motorcycle, you'll get better. And to a degree, that's true, but it doesn't really prepare you for an accident, because just riding from point A to point B, we rarely have a car pull out in front of us. We rarely have to swerve to avoid something in the roadway. We rarely have to use emergency braking in those situations. And if we never practice it, just riding from point A to point B never prepares you for those. So we ride from our house to the store and we ride back, and we do that week after week, and we don't have any incidents, and we think that we're gaining control of the motorcycle and we're becoming better riders and we're better prepared for an emergency situation. Until one day, riding from point A to point B, that car does pull out in front of you. And because you've not practiced emergency braking or swerving since you took the MSF class, you're in a really bad spot there to avoid that accident. Because all you've ever done is rode from point A to point B and never faced any adversity in your rides. And because you're not practicing those techniques, you're in a really bad position to try to avoid that accident. That was a real motivation behind starting this channel, and in particular creating the MCrider Field Guide, because I wanted to give you guys techniques and exercises that you could practice on your own to help prepare you for those situations. And if you're not practicing emergency braking, if you're not practicing swerving, and all you're doing is ever riding the motorcycle in a normal situation out on a road with little traffic or little threat of an accident, you're not preparing yourself for what will eventually come down the road. And that puts you in a really bad position to avoid those situations. If you're like me, you're a consumer of motorcycle information. I'll watch any video, I'll read any article if it has something to do with motorcycles, in particular riding motorcycles. I always want to improve my riding skills. But just reading about or watching videos about riding skills does very little to actually help you prepare for those situations. What does help is practice. So I want to encourage you guys to get out and practice so that you've got those skills in reserve and you've got them at hand for when you need it out on the road. The third and final thing that I wish more riders understood about riding a motorcycle is that an investment in motorcycle training is a smarter investment than anything you can bolt onto your motorcycle. Now, the Wing Ding is going on here in Grapevine, Texas. It's a cool event, man. I've spent a couple days out there walking around. It's a lot of fun, and they do have some training available, but I walked around the showroom floor, and there are thousands of vendors around there selling just about anything you want to bolt on to a Honda Goldwing. Saw a lot of people buying merchandise, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of that. But your investment dollars to invest in yourself and invest in training and learning how to actually handle and control that motorcycle is a much smarter investment than anything you could ever bolt on. It's smarter than new foot pegs. It's smarter than new bags. It's smarter, definitely smarter than ape hangers you see a lot of people put on motorcycles. Investing in yourself will always pay back dividends. You know, I love seeing a motorcycle on Craigslist, a $3,500 bike that's got $6,000 invested in it, and the owner of the motorcycle trying to sell it lists out all the things that they've purchased and added onto the motorcycle with a price at the end of it that they paid for it. And then at the end of the article, it always says, "My loss is your gain." And that's kind of the way it happens. Nobody wants to pay for all that extra stuff you add to a motorcycle. But if you invest in yourself, if you invest in your training, you're going to carry that with you from every motorcycle you've ever owned. And it's going to pay you back by making you safer, and it's going to give you more control over your motorcycle. So that's why I encourage viewers of this to go out and take a training class. MCrider doesn't compare to taking a class out on the road. So go out, take a class where you've got trained professionals there to watch you ride and help give you tips and pointers. As a backup to that, use MCrider and the field guide to practice on your own. I realize a lot of you guys don't have easy access to training. I happen to live in a big metropolitan area here in Dallas, Fort Worth, and there are several classes for me to choose from around here. That's not necessarily true in other parts of the country. So that's part of why I created MCrider, and in particular the field guide, to help give you guys something that you can work on and improve your skills on your own. So my 3 points of advice to you this week: study road strategy. I've broken several videos down on the MCrider. You can find playlists for them. In fact, I'll include it at the end of this video where you can watch some videos on road strategy and practice that the next time you're on your own bike. Practice that the next time you're driving your car so that you can increase your road strategy skills and your ability to avoid an accident. Second thing, dedicate to practice. Get out and practice. Use the field guide. Use the resources available here. Enroll in a training class if you've got one available. And continue to practice and prepare yourself for those odd situations that cause an accident out on the road. And third, invest in yourself. Next time you got money and it's burning a hole in your pocket and you're thinking about buying those new grips for your handlebars, look at a training class instead. Find a book, see if you can find a video, see if you can find something to help improve your skills, and invest in yourself. Invest in yourself as a rider, and it will pay you back for every motorcycle you ever ride in the future from here. So invest in yourself. I hope you'll take these words to heart and begin to apply it to your own riding. And I think as a result of that, we would have a lot more safer riders out on the road. So until next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and we'll see you on the road.